All right, in this unit, we are going to talk about how the overall housing market affects your home buying experience. This is an important piece of information to understand what months of inventory means. And there's 3 reasons why we don't want to pay attention. Well, not attention, but we want to be careful with the information we hear on national news. And one of the reasons is because it is national. We live in Minnesota. We're in the Twin Cities market. You want to work with a real estate agent that's talking about here, now, not yesterday's news, not national news. It's interesting because what happens on the coast does eventually come into the Midwest area. So it might predict some things for us living here in Minnesota. But you want to buy a house now. And so we need to know what's happening in our very local area. And so with, the conditions. And so the other thing we need to know is what market are we talking about? The condo market, waterfront properties, Minnetonka versus Andover. Like, we need more information to know how that market is moving. I'm making this video in May. I was trying to remember what month that is because it was just April a second ago of 2020. And if you're in that luxury, very high-end $1 million plus market, those houses aren't selling very quickly, and traditionally they don't. But right now they really are at a standstill. And so that's important to know compared to houses under 300,000. So it's just not the same. There's not the same demand, and there's and they're very much like running differently today. So we find national trends interesting, but they don't really help dictate like how we're going to buy our house. So getting back to that months of inventory, that is a real estate term to help us understand whether it's a buyer's market or a seller's market. And so if I tell you that there is 6 months of inventory, that's an equal market. It's not really to anybody's advantage. It's both parties sort of have an equal playing field when it's at 6 months. And this number, just so you have some concept of why we say 6, is it's an easy math problem we do with how much inventory is out there. But the concept is if we sold everything that's on the market today and nothing new came on, how long would it take to sell all the current properties if nothing else came on? So when we say 6 months, that's healthy. That's sort of that's just kind of in the middle there. So if I give you a number, anything below 6, now you know it's a seller's market. That means as a buyer, you need to be probably a little bit more assertive and aggressive in your offers. It probably means you're going to get into multiple offers. It means the seller is at the advantage and the buyer has to work a little bit harder because there's not as many houses to choose from. Of course, on the flip side, anything more than 6 months of inventory means we're in a buyer's market. This means the buyer's at the advantage, the seller is in a weaker position, and meaning that there's so many more houses for the buyer to pick from. They can take their time, they can sleep on it. That is not where we've been for a long time because we just don't have the inventory. And so we're always looking for a house that's off the market, meaning not on the MLS, just because there's not as many houses to pick from. So ask that question, know the answer, because knowing this will help you write your offer at the right place. And just a real quick story, when people don't understand that, that's when they lose houses because they either don't want to hear it or they don't believe what they're hearing. And I think this is so general. When somebody has more experience, I think that they can remember times where it was different. And so sometimes they don't want to hear that it's become a certain way. So just be mindful of when you talk to people with varying degrees of experience. It's not helpful what happened 30 years ago. That's interesting, but it's not representing what's currently happening in the market. So keep that in mind.